Well, hello there. So in this video, we're going to be taking a look at Module 70, which goes into some detail about land and capital markets, which kind of have some special little things, little quirks about them, some of which will appear on the exams and stuff, and some of it's kind of a little ancillary. So let's start with the check your understanding. Number one says, explain how each of the following would affect the rental rate and the quantity in the land market. And so this is potentially something that could show up on an exam. 1A, developers improve the process of filling in coastal waters with rocks and soil to form large new areas of land. And so, if there's new land out there, then that's increasing the supply of land. And so we would expect the rental rate to decrease and the quantity of land to increase, right? In terms of like the price and the quantity. Part B, we could graph that at this point in the class. Hopefully, if the supply goes up, the price goes down, and the quantity goes up. New fertilizers improve the productivity of each acre of farmland. For this one, it's going to increase the demand for land because we'd say the MRP goes up. And the root of that is the marginal product went up. And so therefore, we would expect the rental rate of land to increase and the quantity of land consumed to increase. Again, if the demand rises, the price goes up and the quantity rises. But the underlying understanding here is that if the marginal product is higher, then MRP is higher, and that is the demand for land. Let's take a look at number 2. Scroll over a bit. Explain the following. When firms in different industries all compete for the same land, the value of the marginal product of the last unit of land rented will be equal across all firms, regardless of whether they are in different industries. Well, that is true. The short answer is because of something called marginal productivity theory, which is talked about in this section a little bit, and it comes back. We'll learn it in 5.3, which is about income and inequality. But it's true because the marginal revenue product, right, of the last unit employed, right, is equal to the rental rate. And that's kind of just saying, like, that's, if we had a graph of the firm and, we had this rental rate and we said, here's the marginal factor cost. And so then there's the marginal revenue product. Well, this is like the last unit employed. The MRP of that last unit is going to equal the marginal factor cost, which is the rental rate, right? That's the rental rate. It just kind of has to be. That's what they all earn. And it's regardless of like what that MRP was beforehand, right? You could have the first, second, and third units of whatever this is, land or whatever it is. They would be earning very high MRP, but they're all going to be paid for at the same price, right? So like when you go to buy the land, it would have the same marginal factor cost, even though the first few units of it might be generating very high MRP. And multiple choice. Let's take a look here and see how tricky these are going to be. Move over. Number 1, the implicit cost of capital that you own is, well, it's the rental rate. It's the price, like, because when you think about it, if you already own it, then the implicit cost of you holding onto it is what you would sell it for or what you would rent it for. So it's whatever the rental rate is. So A. Number 2, which of the following is true in relation to a very steep supply curve for land? Well, if it's very steep, it's like that, right? Not elastic, it's inelastic. The quantity of land is very responsive. No, that's very inelastic. Finding new supplies of land is relatively expensive and difficult. 3, that's the only one. So C. And we typically would say that that's true of land. The explicit cost of land you don't own, it's the rental rate, again, A. So like thinking about 1 and 3 are asking the same question. If it's something you don't own, the explicit cost is what you'd have to pay for it to get it. So that's the rental rate, A. Just the price. Hopefully your quiz gets those. Those are easy. 4, a firm will continue to employ more land units until its value of the marginal product of land, which value of marginal product of land is marginal revenue product, right? It's just what's the value of what they're producing when it's equal to the rental rate. That's the price. So you'll keep employing more units of something until the price equals, the price of whatever that something is equals the revenue that it generates for your company. So C. Number 5, according to the marginal productivity theory of income distribution, Each unit of the factory paid the value. No, they don't. They get paid this, right? They get paid the value of the last MRP unit. And so that last unit of MRP is actually what's going to tell, what's going to kind of set what that rate is. So the answer there, the equilibrium value of its marginal price, E is the right answer. So this one is not going to appear on your quiz. Marginal productivity theory is just kind of the underlying statement of like, they all get paid this same factor cost. And that factor cost intercept with the last MRP is what marginal productivity is saying. It says, it doesn't matter if you're the first, second, third, fourth person, you're all going to get paid basically the value from that fifth person. So that's what that means. Again, that one's not going to appear on there. It's more of an income distribution style problem. Oh, excuse me. Number 2, draw a correctly labeled graph showing the market rental rate and quantity of land determined in the land market. Okay, a lot of work. I think they use market 5 times. Include the following supply and demand curves for land, the equilibrium rental rate, quantity of land, correct labels on the axes. Okay. There, quantity, rental rate. I'm going to make this an inelastic supply curve because land is inelastic. And then you have a demand curve like that, which that's the, the marginal revenue product. And it says include the supply and demand, the equilibrium rental rate. So that I'll just say R star, the equilibrium quantity, Q star, done. This section also talks about something called economic rent. So if you're using the paper textbook, economic rent is the additional benefit that you're getting beyond what you would supply it for. In our context, it's not terribly significant and it won't appear on your exam, but the economic rent is equal to this area. So it's very similar to producer surplus. Again, not going to appear on the exam. You won't see questions that get into that. But okay, hopefully that helped you. See you next time.